When I grew up, there was a lot of families that were put into businesses in this community by the McDonnell Douglas Airport there. I don't believe that closing the airport, I think that's a thinly veiled land grab. I believe that technology is going to make the availability of the biofuels and all that to make a less toxic place, and heaven forbid we have a natural disaster when we have the big one. That is going to be the way that we're going to be able to get emergency help in and out of this town.
Santa Monica Airport is a feeder airport, and I think it's very important that we keep it. In case of an emergency at LAX, we need these smaller airports. I really feel so badly for the people that live near the airports and all the noise. I would personally like to cut down on some of the jet traffic, especially limit the hours more than we have now. I think it's in the hands of the FAA, but I would really like to support.
Bob Holbrook. It's really impossible to negotiate or deal with the FAA. I spent 2 days negotiating with them for the city for runway safety. They would not move half an inch, would not move at all. Their whole purpose is to put as many planes and pilots and people in the air as they can and do it safely. They are not concerned about any other issue. This airport is different than every other airport in the United States of America. It does not have a safety zones at either end. It has to be changed.
I agree with Bob. The FAA is in the business of promoting aviation, not regulating it. And they've proven that time and again in their discussions and negotiations with us. So I think when 2015 rolls around, the agreement ends, we need to try to shut it down and then let the games begin.
Just because you're up against a tough opponent doesn't mean you stop fighting on behalf of your residents. And I've taken a leadership role on the current airport issues. Now, yes, the planes in the air are controlled by the FAA, and they've changed the flight path to go over homes and schools in Sunset Park and Ocean Park, and that is not okay. Some of the jets that are used in the airport exceed the FAA's own safety standards for a runway our length, and I voted to take them to court, and I'll pursue that all the way. It was my idea to take baseline measurements during the recent 4-day closure, so we'll have environmental data to better fight the FAA when it comes push to shove in 2015.
Well, actually, I think the airport is part of our cultural history. I think it's an important part of the economic diversity of Santa Monica. I also believe, as somebody who works with the Red Cross, that it is an important asset for disaster response. I think we saw that with the Malibu fires a year or so ago. And you know, but that doesn't mean that the airport can't be a better neighbor. And I guess I'm a little concerned, if what I'm hearing is correct, is that the FAA was recommending safety enhancements to Santa Monica Airport, and because we thought it would have a stronger hand for the city in negotiating when the lease or the agreement is up in 2015, we haven't actually implemented those. That would concern me a great deal. I do think the FAA wants us to be safe, and I think we actually have one of the safest transportation air spaces in the world. Thank you.
The Santa Monica Airport is located in a terrible location to continue the way they're going with jets and jet pollution and noise and environmental horribleness. Make sure you go to the candidates forum on the 21st to ask the hard questions. People want to shut the airport, but I think even more important right now is an immediate community process to bring everyone together, to work together. That's the only way we'll have weight to affect change against the FAA, which should be renamed the Federal Arrogance Association.
John was the first candidate running for city council to come out with the reckless proposition that we close the airport down in 2015. Now, several elections later, more than half the candidates are saying the same thing. I used to live right next door in Sunset Park, right where the airport went over. I also lost my own union's endorsement because I want to close the airport when I was a member of the Association of Flight Attendants. But I think we really need to take on the FAA.
Thank you.
I think we should work collaboratively with the FAA if at all possible, but we should ban all jet traffic at the airport except for emergency reasons.
Change I'm hoping to see on our city council is another voice speaking for residents. And for that reason, more than anything else, I want to see Ted Winter get elected. I've been endorsed by Santa Monica for Veterans Rights and by the Santa Monica Democratic Club. They have also endorsed Ted. Along with the two of us, they've endorsed William Davis, Terry O'Day, and Pamela O'Connor, and I stand by those endorsements that we share.
Well, it'd certainly be rude to say I didn't want to serve with Kevin. I don't think it's any secret that he's been a close political ally, and I enjoy being up on the dais with him, and I agree with him, and I also would like to serve with those candidates who've been endorsed by Santa Monicans for Veterans Rights and the Santa Monica Democratic Club.
I'm an independent, always have been, chose that. It's a unique situation because, see, if you're endorsed by Santa Monica Veterans Rights, you're not allowed to endorse anyone except their candidates. And so, while I was asked by candidates to endorse them, there is no reciprocity. I look forward to serving with anyone the voters choose to elect. I suppose of all the people running, I feel closest to Terry O'Day. Thank you.
Well, I would like to be on the city council, and I would like to work with Bob Holbrook, because he's one of my favorite people. I think Daniel would be an asset. I think we really need to shake up the city council.
I would really enjoy working with the Bobs. I also have worked with Ted Winter and Kevin and Bob Shriver in supporting Proposition T. And I think we see a lot of the same things, more so than we have the differences. So those are the ones that I would like to. Thank you.
I'd be happy to work with anyone who's elected by the citizens of Santa Monica. See, I was going to say something. What was it? Oh, yes. I'd like to see the city charter changed so we could have an increased number of people serving on the city council. I think 13 would be a good number, but it would need a city charter change.
As the only Marxist up here, I don't think there's anybody. I do think that we need to have term limits, so I definitely don't want to serve with anybody who's been on the council for more than 2 terms, or anybody who has any endorsements from any special interests. I'd make an exception for Ted because even though he has a SMER endorsement, he has the right people in SMER on his side. Other than that, I like Daniel. I like what he says, most of what he says. I don't think he has any conflict of interest as far as I know, but I'd have to get to know him better.
Thank you.
A few other people here.
Of course, I would serve with anyone, but I'm not going to name names today. I'm going to wait till all the candidate forums are done, and then I'm going to put my 4 recommendations on my website, jerrypeaceactivistgroup.com.
So you're undecided at this point?
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
still evaluate people.
Sounds good.
You know, if fortunate enough to be elected, I look forward to serving with everyone on the council. It's been a privilege to work with Bob Holbrook for the last year or so on the Red Cross board. It would be a privilege to serve with him on the council as well. I think Ted will bring a fresh voice, and I think elections are about choices. And so if we want fresh voices on the council, then you actually have to vote for non-incumbents. So I guess from that perspective, I would support all the non-incumbents running.
This is a yes or no question. Move things along. Do you support term limits for council members? John, yes or no?
Yes.
Do you support term limits? Jerry?
No, it's up to the people.
Daniel?
We have them, they're called elections.
Evan?
Same answer. We have them. They're called elections.
Okay, so no.
Yes.
Bob?
Yes, I supported it in the past.
What about now? Yes?
Still yes.
I don't think I think there should be term limits, absolutely.
Well, we do have a natural 12 and out here lately, okay, guys?
Yes or no, Terrence? What do you think?
Yes, I believe in term limits.
Okay, great. Linda?
No term limits, let the voters decide.
I would leave that to the police. I think that's their job. Isn't it against the law?
Yes.
Okay, then let the police take care of it.
I think we have one of the most finely organized recycling armies in our city. I think if it comes down to the fact that this city has to worry about who's getting the cans and bottles and all the rest of the millions that are being shoveled out of state here, I think it's going to be it's kind of a sad situation. So they're certainly welcome to whatever they can take out of my,
Free reign.
Free reign, leave the dumpster divers alone.
Okay.
If you don't want them dumpster diving, get them jobs, but don't harass people. Let them survive any way they possibly can.
I leave my cans and bottles on top of my dumpster so they don't have to dig in and get it.
Absolutely. When you see someone out trying to make some money so they might not have to panhandle, I say, hey, there's bigger problems than worrying about that. You're not going to lock the cans because the automatic equipment won't handle it. So, not going to stifle that.
Okay.
I'm assuming the intent was that there's some sort of economic impact on the city from people going through.
Yeah, valuable cans.
Valuable cans.
But it is against the law.
It is against law. I don't know that we do it. I agree with Jane. We enforce the law if it's become a nuisance to residents and it's becoming unsafe for some reason. We enforce the law. I don't know that we need to have any more laws to address it. To be honest with you.
Just more enforcement.
The fact that individuals dumpster dive, I think, is a sad commentary on how we have let our social safety net fray and fail. There are now, that said, there are quasi-commercial operations out there.
Exactly.
There are people who go up and down the alleys in trucks mining the aluminum. And I would urge you, if you see that going on, please call our police. They will follow up on that. I've talked with our police chief about this. That is a crime in Santa Monica. The good news, though, is those commingled recycling bins have increased the recycling immediately by 11%. We've now exceeded our sustainable city goal, so they are very much worth having.
Thanks, Kevin.
Well, I'm not sure if the issue is whether it's a financial one and loss of revenue to the city or a quality of life issue about having a piece of quiet disturbed by the dumpster diving. In terms of the financial perspective, actually recycling right now doesn't pay for itself. It's the trash hauling fees we pay to cover the cost of recycling. And the challenge we face going forward as we get to a zero waste society is how will we pay when we're not having our trash hauled away because we're not generating trash or recycling at all. And that's something we've got to tackle in the very near future. But for the moment, I think that to the best of our ability, we should enforce the laws we have on the books.
I think the spirit of the question, or the reason for the question, was the noise and aggravation of being awakened by somebody rattling around bottles and cans and after people go to sleep. And that happens. It's been happening really early in the morning, too. So it's not an issue about the money involved. It's just an issue about disturbing the peace. And if that happens, I think people should call.
5 seconds.
Well, I've been very aggressively pursuing this. Most of the development agreements that are now in question were entered into before I was on the council. And in fact, never during the time I've been on the council did staff say, oh, it's time to review these. There was no institutional measure, and that's a real shame. However, we do now have the chance to make good on past promises, and I have been fighting hard to make sure that we do. We reviewed the existing development agreements just this past week, and I have some very serious questions about St. John's and others who have still not fulfilled their promises to our community. I will make them do that.
I don't want to speak for Kevin, but I'm Bob Holbrook, and I think we thought staff was looking at this and had been for years. It was a surprise. The important thing, though, I think there's about 13 or 14, maybe 15 development agreements and it goes back for 30, 35 years, that there wasn't any serious loss of revenue, like somebody had to pay $100,000 or $200,000 for traffic mitigation or something. They didn't do it. It was a lot of small stuff, and there was an issue at St. John's with parking. And so I'm pleased that it wasn't worse than it is, and everybody is working very hard to comply and come online now, and the staff is watching it closely. Thank you. That's